I grew up hearing the same message from my family: I wasn't good enough. My older sister Victoria was always the golden child, married to a successful hedge fund manager, living in the perfect neighborhood, part of all the right clubs. And me, I was just Emma, the younger sister with some tech job no one ever bothered to understand. The pattern started early. When I was 12 and Victoria was 16, Mom would compare our report cards at dinner. Victoria's straight A's earned her a brand new car on her 16th birthday. My straight A's got me a polite nod and a "that's nice, dear." When Victoria got into Yale, there was a huge celebration with 200 guests. When I got into MIT, Dad barely looked up from his newspaper and said, "That's a good safety school." So I learned to stay quiet. I learned to smile and nod. I learned that no matter what I did, it would never be enough. Eventually, I stopped trying to make them see me at all. After college, I moved to San Francisco and started working. My family assumed I had some entry-level tech job, maybe customer service or data entry. They never asked for details, and I never corrected them. During the holidays, they'd pat me on the head and ask if I was still playing with computers. Meanwhile, Victoria married Bradley 3 years ago. The wedding cost $300,000. I wasn't asked to be a bridesmaid. Mom said it would look unbalanced to have me standing next to Victoria's accomplished friends. So I sat in the back row and left before the reception ended. Last month, Victoria announced she was pregnant. Mom immediately began planning an extravagant baby shower at the Riverside Country Club, the most exclusive in our hometown. Membership started at $50,000 per year, plus a $200,000 initiation fee and a 5-year waiting list. "We're having it at the club, of course," Victoria announced during our weekly family Zoom call. She looked directly into the camera, making sure I could see her perfectly styled hair and designer maternity dress. "Members and their families only. It's very exclusive." "Sounds lovely," I said, from my small San Francisco apartment, the one they all assumed was the best I could afford. "You can come if you want." Victoria added, her tone dripping with reluctant generosity. "Though I know the club isn't really your scene. It's very upscale, sophisticated." Mom jumped in. "Maybe Emma would be more comfortable just sending a gift, dear. The club has certain standards." I smiled into the camera. "I'll be there. Wouldn't miss it." Victoria's perfectly microbladed eyebrows arched. "Well, don't feel obligated. I know the drive from San Francisco is long, and you probably can't afford to take time off work." That was 3 weeks ago. I marked the date in my calendar and didn't mention it again. The baby shower was scheduled for Saturday afternoon. I flew in Friday night and checked into a modest hotel near the airport, the kind of place my family would expect me to stay. I didn't tell them I was in town early. Saturday morning, I drove to the Riverside Country Club. The building was breathtaking: white columns, manicured gardens, and sweeping views of the 18th hole on a championship golf course. Valets hurried to park a steady stream of Mercedes and BMWs. Women in designer sundresses and men in country club casual strolled through the grand entrance as if it were their stage. I parked my rental car, a modest sedan, in the far corner of the lot, and walked toward the entrance. I wore a simple sundress from Target, my hair pulled back into a ponytail. I looked exactly how my family expected me to look: the poor relation dressed in her Sunday best, trying to blend in where she didn't belong. The valet gave me a skeptical glance but said nothing. Inside, the marble-floored lobby gleamed under soft chandeliers. I followed the sound of laughter and clinking glasses toward the Magnolia Ballroom, where Victoria's shower was taking place. About 60 women were already there: Victoria's sorority sisters, Bradley's colleagues' wives, Mom's book club friends, and a handful of distant relatives I barely recognized. The room glowed in soft pink and gold, with lavish floral centerpieces on every table. A string quartet played softly in the corner, while waiters drifted among the guests with trays of champagne and canapes. Victoria sat at the head table on a throne-like chair, one hand resting on her pregnant belly, accepting gifts and compliments like a queen holding court. Mom stood beside her, radiant with pride. I slipped into a seat at a table in the back, next to a few cousins I hadn't seen since childhood. They glanced at me, looked puzzled for a moment, then turned away without a word. The gift opening began. Victoria unwrapped designer baby clothes, a $1,000 stroller, and a custom-made crib. Each gift was met with squeals of delight and an obligatory flurry of photos for Instagram. Mom made sure to announce the price of every item as if the cost proved devotion. "This is from Aunt Patricia," she said, holding up a silver rattle from Tiffany. $1 and $200. More squeals, more photos, more champagne. I sat quietly sipping water, my modestly wrapped gift resting beside me, a handmade baby blanket from a small shop in San Francisco. Cost $80. I knew it would be mocked. After nearly an hour of gift opening, Mom finally spotted me. Her eyes widened in shock. Clearly, she hadn't expected me to actually show up. She leaned toward Victoria and whispered something. Victoria turned her face, settling somewhere between annoyance and mild amusement. Emma, Mom called out, her voice carrying easily across the ballroom. "You made it. Come up here and say hello to your sister." I stood and walked toward the front of the room. 60 pairs of eyes followed me, taking in my inexpensive dress and understated makeup. I could hear the whispers ripple through the crowd. "Who's that Victoria's sister? Really, she doesn't look like family." I reached Victoria and bent down to hug her. She tolerated the embrace for exactly 2 seconds before pulling away. "So glad you could make it," she said, her tone suggesting the exact opposite. "I wasn't sure you'd be able to afford the time off work." "I made it work," I replied evenly. Mom jumped in quickly, her smile too tight to be genuine. "Emma works in San Francisco Tech. We're very proud of her." One of Victoria's sorority sisters, a blonde woman in a Chanel dress, turned toward me with polite curiosity. "Oh, how exciting. Are you an engineer, a programmer?" Before I could answer, Victoria laughed. "Oh no, nothing like that. Emma does something with computers. We've never quite understood what." She reached out and patted my hand condescendingly. "It's very sweet that she tries." The women around her laughed softly, their amusement carefully measured. I smiled and said nothing. "Well, sit," Mom urged, motioning for me to return to my table. "We're about to have lunch." I had just started walking back when Victoria's voice stopped me. "Oh, Emma, before you sit down, I wanted to ask you something." I turned around. Her eyes gleamed with a kind of cruel delight. "Bradley and I have been thinking about joining another club." She began, her tone casual but loud enough for everyone to hear. "Something even more exclusive than Riverside, the Platinum Reserve Club downtown." "Do you know it?" I nodded. I knew it very well. The membership fees are quite steep. Victoria continued, savoring every word. $75,000 annually plus a $400,000 initiation fee. But Bradley thinks we should apply. She paused theatrically, scanning the room. "Of course, that's probably more than you make in several years. But isn't it wonderful that Bradley can provide that kind of lifestyle?" "Very wonderful," I agreed quietly. "I mean, no offense, but you probably couldn't even afford the basic membership here at Riverside." Victoria laughed, sweeping her hand around the ballroom. "The initiation fee alone is $200,000. Can you imagine?" Mom laughed too, though her voice wavered. "Victoria, be nice." But Victoria wasn't finished. "I'm just saying, it must be hard for you seeing how well Bradley takes care of me, seeing all this." She gestured at the extravagant decorations, the piles of expensive gifts, the designer-clad guests. "Knowing it's so far out of reach for you." The room went still. 60 women watched in perfect silence. This was the entertainment now, Victoria putting her poor sister in her place. I looked at her calmly. "You're right. It's very impressive." Victoria smiled, satisfied. "I'm not trying to make you feel bad," she continued, the false sweetness barely masking her cruelty. "I just think it's important to be realistic about your station in life. You know, some people are meant for country clubs and some people are meant for public parks. A few women giggled. Mom's face flushed crimson, but she said nothing. You can't even afford the basic membership, Victoria pressed on louder, now performing for her audience. Be honest, Emma. When was the last time you even stepped foot in a place like this? I smiled. This morning, actually. Victoria blinked. What, I was here this morning, I said evenly. Had some business to discuss with the management. Mom frowned. What are you talking about? Stick to your public parks, dear, she said sharply, trying to steer the conversation away. Places more suited to your budget. This lifestyle isn't for everyone. I nodded slowly. You're absolutely right, Mom. Not everyone belongs here. I picked up my purse and turned to leave. As I walked toward the exit, I could hear Victoria's triumphant laughter echoing behind me, her friends joining in. Someone whispered something about knowing your place. Another voice murmured how sad it must be to be the unsuccessful sibling. I kept my head high as I crossed the marble lobby and stepped into the sunlight. The valets avoided my eyes as I passed. I climbed into my rental car and drove away from the country club, but not far. 2 blocks down, I pulled into a coffee shop parking lot and waited. At 10:47 a.m. on Sunday morning, my phone rang. Miss Chin came a familiar voice. It was Richard Morrison, the general manager of Riverside Country Club. I'd hired him myself 6 years ago. Good morning, Richard. I just wanted to confirm, he said carefully. You want to proceed with the membership cancellations? All of them, I do, I said. Victoria and Bradley Thompson, Patricia, and Robert Chin. Any family members listed under those accounts, including my mother's individual membership. Especially my mother's. There was a brief pause. Miss Chin, just so you're aware, Mrs. Thompson is currently hosting an event in the Magnolia Ballroom. This will cause quite a scene. I'm aware. And you want me to inform them immediately. Very well. I'll call them now. I hung up and waited. 3 minutes later, my phone lit up with a call from Mom. I let it go to voicemail. Then Victoria. Voicemail. Then Bradley. Then Mom again. Then Victoria again. By the time I started my car and began the long drive back to San Francisco, my phone was still buzzing relentlessly in the cup holder. By Sunday evening, I had 43 missed calls and 67 text messages. I ignored all of them until Monday morning, when I was back in my San Francisco office, the penthouse floor of the building I owned in the financial district. At 9:00 a.m. Pacific time, noon. Their time. I finally called Mom back. Emma. Oh my God! Emma, you have to fix this. Mom's voice was frantic, the sound of someone teetering between panic and disbelief. There's been a terrible mistake at the club. What kind of mistake? I asked, evenly scrolling through the quarterly reports my CFO had just sent over. They canceled our memberships. All of them, Victoria's, mine, your Aunt Patricia's. They said the owner requested it. But they won't tell us who the owner is. It's obviously some horrible computer error. That's terrible. I said, signing off on a $60 million acquisition. The manager, some man named Richard Morrison, he called right in the middle of Victoria's baby shower in front of all her friends. He said our memberships were terminated immediately and that we had to vacate the premises. How embarrassing. It was humiliating. She went on, her voice rising. Victoria was crying. Everyone was staring. They escorted us out like we were criminals. I made a sympathetic noise and turned another page of the report. Emma, you have to help us fix this, Mom pleaded. You work with computers, right? Maybe this is some kind of hack. Can you call someone? Do something. I don't think I can help with that. Mom, please. Victoria is devastated. She's 8 months pregnant and they embarrassed her in front of everyone. Her friends are posting about it on social media. Someone recorded the whole thing. That sounds very stressful for her, I said mildly. Emma. Mom's voice cracked thin with desperation. I don't understand what happened. We've been members there for 12 years. Your father used to golf there every Sunday before he passed. They can't just kick us out. Actually, I said quietly, they can. Property owners have the right to refuse service to anyone. But who would do this? Who would be so cruel? I set down my pen and turned toward the window. The San Francisco skyline stretched out before me, glass and steel glittering in the morning sun. Mom, I said softly, do you remember when I was 12 and I got straight A's? And you said, that's nice, dear, then took Victoria out for a celebration dinner without me. There was silence on the other end. Do you remember when I got into MIT and Dad called it a safety school? More silence. Do you remember Victoria's wedding when I sat in the back row because I wasn't good enough to be a bridesmaid, Emma? What does this have to do with... Do you remember yesterday? I said evenly when Victoria told me I couldn't afford the basic membership. When you told me to stick to public parks. A pause. Emma, I bought Riverside Country Club 6 years ago. The silence stretched so long I thought she'd hung up. You what? My tech thing, the one nobody ever bothered to understand, I said. I founded a software company when I was 23. We specialized in luxury property management systems. I sold that company for $800 million when I was 26. I used that money to start buying properties, country clubs, resorts, boutique hotels. I'm currently worth about $2.3 billion. I'm the owner, Mom. I've been the owner since I was 28. I own 4 other country clubs in 3 states. The Platinum Reserve Club that Victoria mentioned, I own that too. In fact, I own a portfolio of 17 luxury properties, including the hotel where Victoria had her wedding reception. I heard Mom's breath hitch on the other end, shallow, shaky, like the air had gone out of her. Richard Morrison, the general manager you mentioned, I hired him. He reports directly to me. When he called yesterday morning and asked why the owner was canceling your memberships, he was asking me. I let the words sink in before continuing. I told him to proceed with the cancellations and to do it during the baby shower. I wanted Victoria to experience just once what it feels like to be humiliated in front of everyone. Emma, please, I'm not finished, I said calmly. The memberships are permanently canceled. I've also instructed all 17 properties in my portfolio to flag your names. You're not welcome at any of them, not as guests, not as members, not even for events. You can't do that. I literally can. I own them. Mom's voice shifted, pleading now, desperate, trembling at the edges. Emma, sweetheart, there's been a misunderstanding. We've always been proud of you. We've always... No, you haven't, I said quietly. And that's fine. I don't need you to be proud of me. I don't need your approval or your love or your acceptance. I built my life without any of that. Emma, she whispered, Victoria is pregnant. She's your sister. How can you be so cruel? I laughed, a low, bitter sound that surprised even me. How can I be so cruel? I repeated. Mom, listen to yourself. Yesterday, Victoria publicly mocked me in front of 60 people. You stood there and let it happen. You even joined in. You've both been doing it my entire life. But now that there are consequences, suddenly, I'm the cruel one. We didn't mean... Yes, you did. I cut in. You absolutely did. And you know what? I don't even blame you anymore. I used to think something was wrong with me, that I wasn't good enough, smart enough, successful enough to earn your love. It took me years to realize the problem was never me. It was you. My office phone buzzed. My assistant's voice came through the intercom. Miss Chin, your 9:30 is here. I have to go, Mom, I said. I have a meeting with some investors about acquiring a resort chain in Tahoe. Each property's worth about $40 million. That's probably more than Victoria's husband makes in a year. But isn't it wonderful that I can provide that kind of lifestyle for myself? Emma, wait. Don't call me again, I said, my voice calm, final. And tell Victoria her baby gift is in the mail. It's a handmade blanket from a small shop in San Francisco. Cost $80. I'm sure she'll hate it, but maybe her daughter will appreciate it someday when she's old enough to understand that price doesn't equal value. I hung up. My phone began ringing again almost immediately. I blocked Mom's number, then Victoria's, then Bradley's. By Tuesday morning, I received an email from Aunt Patricia. The subject line read, "Family Emergency." The message was long, desperate, and riddled with typos. She explained that she and Uncle Robert were facing serious social consequences after the country club incident. Their friends were asking questions. People were gossiping. Someone had posted a video on Instagram of Victoria being escorted out of the baby shower, and it had gone viral in their social circle. "Please reconsider," Patricia wrote. I deleted the email without replying. By Wednesday afternoon, my head of security called to inform me that Victoria and Bradley had shown up in the lobby of my building demanding to see me. Security escorted them out. On Thursday morning, my attorney called. "Miss Chin, I received a letter from a Patricia Chin. She's claiming you've damaged her and her niece's reputations through your actions at Riverside Country Club. She's threatening to sue for defamation and emotional distress." I laughed. On what grounds I exercised my rights as a property owner to terminate memberships? There's no defamation in that. That's exactly what I told her attorney, he said. They have no case, but I wanted to keep you informed. Thank you. Let me know if they actually file anything. They didn't. On Friday evening, exactly 1 week after the baby shower, I received a handwritten letter delivered by courier to my office and marked urgent, personal. It was from Victoria. Her handwriting trembled across the page. "Emma, I don't know what else to do. I've called, I've texted, I've tried visiting your office. You won't respond. So I'm writing this letter because I need you to understand what you've done. The video of us being kicked out of my baby shower has been viewed over 1 million times. Someone posted it on TikTok with the caption, 'Rich people get karma.' The comments are brutal. People are calling me entitled spoiled a bully. Someone found my Instagram and flooded every photo with hate. Bradley's firm is furious. They think the bad publicity makes them look unprofessional. He might lose clients. My friends won't stop asking questions. They want to know who owns the club. They want to know why we were kicked out. What am I supposed to tell them? That my little sister, the one I thought was a failure, is actually a billionaire who owns the club and kicked us out for revenge? Mom is devastated. She cries every day. She says you've changed, that success has made you cruel and vindictive. I know I was mean to you at the shower. I know I said things I shouldn't have. But did I really deserve this? Did I deserve to be publicly humiliated while pregnant? Did I deserve to have my reputation destroyed? I'm sorry for what I said. I'm sorry for not being a better sister. Please, Emma. Please fix this. Remove whatever blacklist you've put on our names. Let us back into the clubs. Help me salvage my reputation. Your sister Victoria." I read the letter 3 times. Then I placed it in my desk drawer and went back to work. 2 weeks after the shower, a call came through from a number I didn't recognize. I answered before realizing it wasn't blocked. "Emma, oh, thank God." Mom's voice was shaking, soaked in tears. "Please, sweetheart, please listen to me. I told you not to call." I said, I know, but please just listen." Victoria went into early labor. The stress, the doctors think the stress triggered it. She had the baby yesterday. A girl. 7 pounds healthy. But Emma Victoria isn't okay. She's depressed. She won't eat. She won't hold the baby. She just lies there crying. I said nothing. The doctors say it's postpartum depression made worse by the stress of the past 2 weeks. Mom continued, her voice cracking. "Emma, please, I'm begging you. Whatever point you were trying to make, you've made it. We understand. We were wrong. We treated you terribly. But please don't punish the baby for our mistakes. Don't punish Victoria while she's vulnerable like this." I closed my eyes. "What's the baby's name?" Emma, Mom whispered. "They named her Emma." I sat in silence for a long moment. "Emma." Mom's voice was fragile. "Are you still there?" I'm here. Please. Please help us fix this, she pleaded. I don't care about the country club anymore. I don't care about any of it. I just want my daughter to be okay. I want my granddaughter to grow up in a family that isn't destroyed by this. I took a slow breath. The blacklist stays. The membership cancellations stay. But I'll have my PR team handle the social media situation. They'll get the videos taken down and control the narrative. It'll cost around $100,000, but I'll cover it. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm not doing it for you. Or for Victoria, I said, cutting her off. I'm doing it for the baby. She doesn't deserve to grow up with viral videos of her mother's humiliation. But understand this, nothing else changes. You and Victoria made your choices. You treated me like garbage for 32 years. You mocked me publicly. Actions have consequences. We understand, Mom said quickly. We do. And Emma, for what it's worth, I'm so proud of you. What you've accomplished? Don't, I said sharply. Don't you dare say you're proud of me now. You had 32 years to be proud. 32 years to see me, to value me, to treat me like I mattered. You chose not to. You don't get to be proud of me now that you know I'm worth $2 billion. That's not love. That's not family. That's opportunism. I paused, my voice softening just slightly. Send me a picture of the baby. I'll send a gift. A real one this time, a trust fund. $5 million accessible when she turns 25. Maybe it'll give her the freedom to be herself, whoever that is, without worrying about living up to impossible family standards. Mom was crying harder now. That's too generous. You don't have to. I'm not doing it for you, I said again, calm and final. I'm doing it for her. She deserves a better family than the one we had. I hung up before Mom could respond. That evening, I sat alone in my penthouse apartment, the one my family had never seen, watching the San Francisco skyline fade into twilight. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It was a photo of a tiny baby girl with dark hair, her eyes open, wrapped in a hospital blanket. A second message followed. Her full name is Emma Patricia Chin Thompson. Thank you for the trust fund. Thank you for everything. Victoria. I set the phone down on the table beside me and stared out at the glittering lights of the city, my city. For the first time in my life, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt like peace. I looked at the photo for a long time. Then I forwarded it to my attorney with instructions to establish the trust fund and to include one additional clause. The child would receive comprehensive financial literacy education starting at age 12, funded by the trust itself. She would learn about money, investing, and independence. She would learn that her worth wasn't determined by anyone's approval, least of all her family's. She would learn what I had to teach myself. 3 months later, I received a package. Inside was a framed photo of baby Emma wrapped in the handmade blanket I'd sent, the one from the small San Francisco shop, the one I'd assumed Victoria would hate. There was a note in Victoria's handwriting. She sleeps with this every night. It's her favorite. Maybe you were right. Price doesn't equal value. Maybe I was wrong about a lot of things. I'm sorry I didn't see you before. I see you now. I placed the photo on my desk right next to the old issue of Forbes from 6 years ago, the one with my face on the cover. The headline read, Tech Prodigy Turned Property Mogul, How Emma Chin Built a $1 Billion Empire. The same magazine my family had never seen because they'd never cared to look. Then I went back to work managing my 17 properties, planning my next acquisition, living the life I had built entirely on my own. The life they never believed I could have. And every morning when I walked into my office at Riverside Country Club, the one I still owned, the one they would never step inside again, I smiled. Because I finally understood their inability to see my worth had never been a reflection of my value. It was a reflection of their vision. And I didn't need their approval anymore. I never had.